President Trump plans to raise tariffs on South Korean imports from 15% to 25% related to autos, lumber, and pharmaceuticals. In a Truth Social post Monday, the president said South Korea's legislature was not living up to its side of a deal with the United States. In response, South Korea's finance ministry announced Tuesday that it will urge lawmakers to speed up approval of the $350 billion U.S. investment bill. The trade deal was reached between the two allies last year.
South Korea's parliament now needs to change the signal it has been sending to the United States. They need to quickly send a signal that they will soon implement a special law for investment in the United States, and that, on that basis, they will invest according to a set timetable for U.S. investments. In particular, the administration also needs to take a more active role as well.
Meanwhile, South Korea's presidential office, the Blue House, held a meeting Tuesday to discuss possible solutions. However, the Blue House said Washington has not formally notified Seoul of any decision to raise tariffs on South Korean goods. South Korea's industry minister, who's currently in Canada, will travel to Washington as soon as possible to meet with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick.
If the tariff is raised, that would be very bad for us. We were agreed to put 15% tariff, both the reciprocal tariff and the automobile tariff, and that 15% rate is neither lower nor higher than for other countries. It's an equal, fair level. But if it is raised to 25%, we lose that 10% price competitiveness, and export volumes will decline by about the same amount as the lost competitiveness. And South Korean companies are likely to face immediate uncertainty.
The trade agreement was submitted to South Korea's National Assembly last November and is still under review. According to local media, it's likely to pass in February.
Because this is a national interest matter, we would appreciate it if the People Power Party would refrain from unnecessary and unproductive debates over whether the measure should take the form of ratification or statute. Instead, we urge them to actively participate in and cooperate with the legislative process so that the tariff issue can be resolved.
Whether it is ratification or a special law for U.S.-related investment, the government and the ruling party should have submitted some form of request or proposal to the National Assembly. Until now, there has not even been the slightest communication on this matter.
The move against South Korea underscores a broader approach by President Trump, who has frequently used tariffs to advance his policy agenda. On Saturday, he threatened Canada with a 100% tariff if it struck a trade deal with China. In response, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said his country was not pursuing a free trade deal with China and has never considered it. Meanwhile, South Korea's experience serves as a warning to Taiwan. Some Taiwanese experts are urging the ruling party and the opposition to engage in constructive dialogue, warning that continued gridlock and infighting in the country's parliament could lead to consequences similar to those seen in South Korea. The U.S. and Taiwan reached a trade deal on January 15th that cuts tariffs on Taiwanese goods from 20% to 15%. In exchange, Taiwan committed $250 billion in new investments in the U.S. tech industry. The island nation will also guarantee an additional $250 billion in credit to facilitate further investment.